So, if you haven't heard, Brandon Ingram was diagnosed with something called deep vein thrombosis, or DVT, which is commonly referred to as blood clots, although that's not entirely accurate. But he will be out for the remainder of the season, and so far that's all the information that we have been given. So I know a lot of you are concerned, so I'll do my best to shed some light on the topic. So first of all, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, but I do have some medical background. I work in the hospital lab, so we help in the diagnosis of DVT, and we also monitor its treatment. So I do have some knowledge on this topic. So first off, clotting itself is not a bad thing. It's part of our normal bodily function and actually helps us control our bleeding. So clotting becomes an issue when the clot lasts too long or it occurs somewhere where it's not supposed to. So when a clot forms in a blood vessel and messes with blood flow, that's called thrombosis. So this most commonly occurs in the lower extremities, such as the leg, but in Brandon's case, it occurred in the shoulder area or the upper extremity. So initially, he was out due to soreness. It was reported that he couldn't really shoot. His shoulder was giving him issues, and this is a symptom of DVT. There's discomfort and pain in the affected area. And upper extremity DVT is actually more common in athletes and individuals that perform some type of repetitive motion and individuals with abnormal body types. So this fits Brandon Ingram's profile. He doesn't have a normal body type. He's freaking slender man, and he's an athlete who shoots, has some type of repetitive motion. So that's a likely cause of the clot, but it has not been confirmed yet. So the issue occurs when a piece of the clot breaks off and gets to the lung, and this is called pulmonary embolism. And this causes an obstruction of blood flow to the lungs and can lead to complications and can potentially be fatal. So we're lucky that they caught this before it actually happened. So the most famous case probably in the NBA of blood clots is Chris Bosh. And this is probably why a lot of people are worried. It's because this essentially forced him into an early retirement. However, from what I'm hearing, Ingram's case isn't as serious. I believe when they discovered the clots in Bosh, it had already progressed to a pulmonary embolism, and also they found multiple clots, and there was multiple occurrences of clots forming. That isn't the case so far with Ingram. It's just the one clot so far. And more good news is that upper extremity DVT, which is what Brandon Ingram has, is less likely to cause pulmonary embolism in comparison with the lower extremity DVTs, which is what Chris Bosh experienced. So now, the most common treatment is taking blood thinners, and that's probably the course of action that the Lakers will take. And it usually takes a few months, and during those months, you can't do any basketball activity. Hopefully that takes care of the problem, and the Lakers have to monitor that carefully. However, if it's a recurring issue, there's more clots being formed. Like in Bosh's case, he'll have to remain on the blood thinners. And this is where the possibility of retirement comes in. When you're on blood thinners, your ability to form a clot is compromised. Obviously, you're trying to prevent clots from forming. However, the downside is that now you are more likely to bleed out. So in contact sports like basketball, even a minor cut can be an issue, let alone a blow to the head or something of that nature. So playing on blood thinners is very risky, and it might not be a risk that he is willing to take, or more likely the organization is not willing to take. Like in Chris Bosh's case, he was willing to play, but the Heat or pretty much any other organization didn't want to take the risk of having a player potentially bleed out on the court and potentially die on the court. But, however, like I said earlier, this case doesn't seem as bad as Bosch's from the information we are given. And hopefully he'll be okay after treatment. He'll be able to come back on the court and play like he has been prior to this. And I know it's selfish, but I do want to see him back on the court because I know how important he is for the Lakers and what they're trying to do. And I'm sure he wants the same thing. I'm sure he wants to play. However, the most important thing is that he is okay and is healthy, even if that means he no longer plays basketball. And I know as a Laker fan, this season has been tough. The last thing we want to hear is something like this. But this now goes beyond basketball, and his overall well-being should be the top priority. And I can't even imagine what's going on through his mind right now. Must be difficult. So let's continue to send our prayers, our thoughts, and continue to support Brandon. Let him know that Laker Nation has his back. So I hope this video helped you understand a bit more of DVT and what's going on. And let's just continue to support Brandon Ingram and the Lakers.